Hey everyone, welcome. It's one of those things we take for granted now, but have you ever really stopped to think about how a machine can translate a sentence? I mean, especially when the number of words is totally different between languages. It's a really tricky problem. Teaching a computer how to deal with situations where what you put in isn't the same size as what you get out. Well, today, we're going to crack that code and see exactly how it works. So really, how does a machine translate a 10-word sentence into a 12-word one? I mean, think about it. You can't just map one word to another, right? It just doesn't work like that. If you feed it 10 words, how on earth does it figure out it needs to spit out 12? Or, take a huge article and shrink it down to just a couple of sentences. That's the big puzzle we're tackling today. This whole idea of handling uneven sequences of information.
And look, this isn't just some weird niche problem for computer scientists. It's actually at the core of so many AI tools we use all of the time. We're talking machine translation, of course, but also text summarization, speech recognition, even when AI creates a caption for a photo you upload. In every single one of those cases, the input and output are different lengths. And to solve that, you need a pretty special kind of model.
Okay, a two-part solution. So how did the pioneers of this stuff actually figure it out? Well, instead of trying to build one single massive complicated network to do everything, they had this really clever, almost elegant idea. They just split the problem in two. Two separate parts working together like a team. And that brings us to the formal name, the encoder-decoder sequence-to-sequence architecture. Phew, that's a mouthful, but it actually tells you everything you need to know. It's a model built from two completely separate neural networks. You've got the encoder and, you guessed it, the decoder. One's job is to read the input, and the other's job is to write the output. They have totally different roles, but they absolutely need each other to make it all work. All right, so this diagram is basically the blueprint for how this whole thing works. You can see the two main players right there. You've got the encoder, which takes in the input, and the decoder, which generates the output. But look at that thing connecting them in the middle, that C. That's the context vector. And this is so important. Think of it like a super condensed summary of everything the encoder just read. It's the only thing the decoder gets to see. It's like the baton in a relay race. It's the entire handover of information from one part of the system to the other. Part 1, the encoder reads. All right, let's break this down and start with the first half of the team, the encoder. The easiest way to think about its job is that it's the reader. Its whole purpose in life is just to read the input and really, truly understand it. So here's the play-by-play. The encoder takes the entire input, let's say it's a whole sentence, and it just chews through it, word by word. As it's reading, it's building up this condensed understanding of what the sentence is all about. And once it hits the very last word, its job is done. It squishes all of that meaning, all that context, down into one single summary. You'll hear it called a thought vector or a context vector. It's that thing we saw in the diagram. It's basically a bunch of numbers that represent the core idea of the input. Part 2, the decoder writes. Okay, so the encoder has done its job. It's read the sentence, it's created its little summary, and now it's time to pass the baton. That context vector gets handed over to the second part of our model, the decoder. And yeah, if the encoder is our reader, it makes perfect sense that the decoder is our writer. So the decoder's entire world is now that one context vector it got from the encoder. That's its starting instruction. And from there, it starts building the output, but it does it one single word at a time. Here's the cool part. To decide on the next word, it looks at two things, that original summary and the word it just wrote. It's this step-by-step process, almost like building with Legos, that lets it create a totally new and coherent sentence from scratch. The information bottleneck. Now, this whole encoder-decoder setup is seriously powerful. I mean, it's the foundation for so much of the language AI we see today. But there's a catch. It's not perfect. This really elegant design has one major weakness that we have to talk about, and it's called the information bottleneck. And here's what that means. The entire meaning of the input, no matter if it's a short sentence or a giant paragraph, has to get squished into that one single fixed size vector. Think about it. It's like trying to tell your friend the entire plot of a 2-hour movie in one single sentence. You're going to lose some details, right? For a short phrase, it's probably fine. But if you're trying to summarize a whole book review, cramming all that info into one tiny summary means the model can start to forget the important stuff that happened way back at the beginning of the text. And that really brings us to the big final question, doesn't it? If trying to remember a long story with just one tiny summary doesn't really work,
how could you build a smarter AI, an AI with a better memory? What if what if it could look back at the original text while it's writing, instead of just relying on that one little summary? That's the exact question that pushed researchers to develop even more amazing models, and it's the perfect place for us to wrap things up today.